The Standard Islamic Narrative suggests Arabia was full of polytheists before Muhammad converted the people to monotheism. But who were these polytheists really? Let's talk about that right now. If you're a Christian who believes in the Trinity, you're a polytheist, at least according to Islam. In the last video, we learned about the religious landscape of Arabia on the eve of Islam. If you haven't seen it, you can find it here. Christianity held a major presence in Arabia before Islam. We have several letters of church leaders like Simon of Beth Arsham and Jacob of Sarug and the Chronicle of Sirte providing us with evidence of the activity of Christian believers in Arabia. Arabia's churches in Jordan, Iraq, Saudi Arabia, and Yemen and Syria represented the broad network active in the Byzantine and Sasanian empires. The Himma inscription near Narjan reveals that Arabic converts to Judaism called God Rahman to distinguish him from idols. It means merciful king. Christian Arabs referred to Jesus as the son of Rahman and the Messiah of Rahman. History and archaeology shows us that because of the spread of Christianity beginning in the 1st century onwards, monotheism had been the definite trend for centuries before Muhammad was born, and Christianity became the major religion throughout what we call the Middle East today. Egypt, Turkey, and Syria were major centers of Christianity. At the Council of Nicaea in 325 AD, Christian leaders from the known world, including representatives from Arabia, met to form a statement of faith to oppose the heresies, mainly Arianism, that troubled the church in the 4th century. The resulting creed addressed the persons of Christ and the Trinity. The creed was accepted in 451 and finalized in 589 with the addition of the words, "and the Son," which made it clear Jesus was part of the Trinity. If you've never read the creed, you can stop the video and read it in its entirety. Muhammad was about 19 when the Nicene Creed was finalized. A little over 20 years later, he began writing down what a supposed angel from heaven revealed to him. Since archaeologists note the absence of pagan polytheistic inscriptions by the 4th and 5th centuries before Muhammad was born, it makes one wonder who were all those polytheists in Muhammad's writings. But no one has to wonder since the Qur'an identifies them. They are the disbelievers in Islam. Surah 9 explains this. In Surah 9:28-32, we learned that polytheists were Jews and Christians who didn't agree with Islam in the oneness of Allah. Believing that Jesus is the Son of God and acknowledging him as a member of the Trinity is committing shirk. Shirk is associating another with God. The concept of oneness is central to the belief of Islam, Tawhid, and associating anything with their idea of a God is unforgivable because it denies Allah the position of supreme God. The Quran identifies those who commit shirk, who believe in the Trinity, as polytheists and disbelievers. They are the ones who resembled those who were before them, those earlier Christians from the centuries before Islam. The only way these disbelievers could save their families and themselves from torture, death, or slavery was to pay a tax. Many of them did, and history counts them as Muslims. Their submission came with a high price if they failed to pay. But even paying the tax was costly because it reduced a person to a lower-class citizen who could be persecuted, prevented from economic gain or activity, meaning holding a job, and excluded from governing. Muhammad's perfect religion was his version of monotheism that incorporated true pagan practices from Arabia into his peculiar blend of Arianism, myths, and Jewish theology, rejecting Jesus and holding to an Arabic version of Deuteronomy's 8:4, "Hear, O Israel, our God is one." The Quran repeats the oneness of Allah several times, and it is the theme decorating the Dome of the Rock and proclaiming Jesus was not the Son of God. While traditional Judaism would not disagree concerning Jesus, Christians would, and the Qur'an with its statements was in direct response of the dominant theology. Islam is a system that melded true pagan practices like worshiping stones, throwing rocks at demons, and fasting during Ramadan like the pagan Sabaeans. Muhammad mixed all that with a modified doctrine birthed out of the Torah, the New Testament, and the heresies and legends of Judaism and Christianity. Then Muhammad crowned it by making Islam the only true religion and enforcing it by the sword. This began during the shadow of wars between the Byzantine and Persian empires and persecutions between Jews and Christians. Muhammad, according to the Islamic narrative, had access to all these religious ideas as he traveled to Syria, employed by Khadijah, a widow whom he eventually married. Muhammad molded his ideas encased in a tribal system, only this time it was his followers against everyone else. Supposedly, it was Muhammad who enforced and strengthened his ideas in the same way by announcing his apostasy law that stated anyone who left Islam's religion should be executed. Arab Christians from Najran came to confront Muhammad about the identity of Jesus. The Hadith records this meeting and says the Christian Arabs appeared like kings and had the support of the Romans. The men told Muhammad Jesus was God and the Son of God, and he was one with God in the Trinity. This, the Hadith records, was the creed of the Christians, but the writings of the Qur'an refuted all what these men from Najran had to say. Meetings like this must have inspired the verses in the Qur'an asking why the people of the book denied Allah's ways, making them appear crooked. The men from Najran weren't disbelievers or pagans. They were Christians, but in Muhammad's troubled mind, they were polytheists, which, considering the Islamic narrative, makes one wonder again, who were all those polytheists in Arabia? Most of them were Christians. So why is it important to know this? The Bible tells us the early church began in Israel and spread into the surrounding countries first. This is exactly what the historical and archaeological evidence reveals. The Middle East, not Europe, was the birthplace and the first stronghold of Christianity. Islam spread by the sword into these areas, and Europe became the land that stood fast against its advance, and it allowed Christianity to grow there. The truth is, and this is important, Islam has not always been the religion or culture of Arabia or the Middle East. Before Muhammad, during a period spanning about 500 years, the people willingly gave their hearts to Jesus and followed Yahweh, the God of the Bible. History and archaeology reveals Christianity was the major chosen religion of the Middle East before Islam conquered those same territories and forced its religion upon the people living there. What are your thoughts on the things covered in this video? Has anything stood out to you? Have you learned something new? Let us know in the comments. Islam masquerades as a belief system that has the same God as Jews and Christians, and the same Abraham as the father of their faith. But Muhammad set Islam apart when he labeled his supreme God Allah and insisted Allah has no son. It is significant that Muhammad didn't choose the name Yahweh, Abraham's God, and the I Am of the Torah and the New Testament. He chose Allah, hearkening back to the identity of an Arabic deity before Christianity in the dark days of paganism. And it seems Muhammad sincerely believed in this revelation brought by his angel of heaven. True Christians living at the same time as Muhammad recognized the delusion this demon had brought him and tried to introduce him to the true God. You see, Muhammad's one supreme God isn't Yahweh, because while Allah requires slaves, Yahweh desires children. He goes before us, providing the forgiveness that we couldn't acquire on our own, and filling us with a peace that is able to calm the storms of our soul and in the depths of our hearts. I pray that his peace becomes real to you, sweeping over you like a cleansing wave of purity, love, and strength. Thank you for listening. I'll see you in the next video.